So what if 99% of everything humanity has ever learned? I mean, every textbook you've read, every scientific breakthrough, every history lesson, what if
Yeah.
all of that is just absolute garbage?
Right, yeah.
Welcome to today's deep dive. If you're listening to this, you're probably someone who, loves to learn. You gather facts, you try to stay informed, and you want to understand the world.
Oh, definitely.
But the source material we're cracking open today argues that almost everything you are actively absorbing right now is completely useless.
It's an incredibly bold claim, honestly.
Hmm.
And it completely upends how we usually think about human progress. Like, we tend to view knowledge as this sacred compounding tower we're building up toward the sky.
Yeah, exactly.
But today's text essentially asks you to just tear the whole tower down.
Totally. So our mission today is to unpack a highly esoteric, truly fascinating text from April 8th, 2004. It's titled Opening Remarks from Lifechanyuan, and it's written by a figure known as D-Form Buddha.
Right, and just to define that term right up front for you listening, Chanyuan generally refers to a Zen courtyard or like a spiritual sanctuary.
Okay.
So Lifechanyuan implies a sanctuary or a retreat for the actual essence of life itself.
That makes sense. We're going to explore this really unique blend of spirituality, cosmology, and philosophy, and look at how it views the limits of science and, well, the ultimate destiny of humanity.
Yeah, and before we jump too far in, just a quick heads up for you listening. This text weaves together elements from major world religions, and it drops a pretty heated real-world political powder keg along the way.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. That is super important. We need to be absolutely clear with you right here at the start. We are acting purely as your guides, your messengers today.
Exactly.
We aren't taking sides on any political disputes, left-wing or right-wing, nor are we endorsing any specific religious or secular viewpoints. We are simply opening up this fascinating philosophical artifact to see what makes it tick.
Think of us as museum curators, walking you through a very unique exhibit. We're here to analyze the artifacts, not to tell you to worship them.
Right, okay, let's unpack this.
So, to really grasp the text's radical claims about the nature of knowledge, we first have to understand who is actually speaking to us here.
Yeah, the author introduces this really profound dual identity right at the very beginning of the document.
Right. He states that outside of this spiritual space, outside of Lifechanyuan, he goes by the name Xuefeng, and he describes Xuefeng as an imperfect and ordinary sage. He explicitly says he has all 7 emotions and 6 desires.
So he's human, he's flawed.
Exactly. But inside Lifechanyuan, he becomes Deform Buddha, speaking the Tao of the universe and of life itself, with life written in all capital letters.
It's a pretty clever way to inoculate himself against criticism, right?
Oh, it's a brilliant rhetorical framing. Yeah. By acknowledging his human flaws as Yefeng, he completely bypasses the usual criticism of, a spiritual leader being hypocritical or imperfect.
Right, like if he makes a mistake, well, that's just Swafeng acting up.
Exactly. But as D from Buddha, he claims an authority that basically transcends human limitation. And he sets a very specific price of admission for the reader to access this cosmic authority.
And it isn't a monetary fee, which is nice. You don't have to put in your credit card.
Nope, no credit cards required.
The text says the entry fee is simply a quiet heart, mind, and soul. It promises that if you can achieve this total peace, diseases vanish, consciousness flows freely, and you can literally enter the minds of the greatest creator, Jesus, Sakyamuni, Muhammad, and Lao Tzu.
Which is quite the lineup.
Right, all to answer the ultimate questions. Who you are, where you come from, and where you're going. It's almost like putting your brain on airplane mode.
I love that analogy.
You have to sever the earthly Wi-Fi, shut down all the sensory inputs just to catch this one. Unified, universal signal.
What's fascinating here is the massive epistemological shift he is demanding from the reader.
Okay, unpack epistemological for us.
Right, so epistemology is just a fancy word for understanding how we know what we know. Normally, you learn through your 5 senses. You read an article, you listen to a deep dive like this one,
Right.
You observe and experiment.
Right, empirical evidence.
Exactly. But the text explicitly tells you to stop doing that. It demands that you stop lingering on knowledge acquired through seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling.
Which I have to say makes me want to push back a little.
Go for it.
Is it actually possible for a modern learner, someone like you listening right now, who relies on empirical data to do your job and live your life, to completely shut off the knowledge gained through the 5 senses?
It's a huge ask.
It feels like asking a fish to just, ignore the water. How does that actually work in practice?
It's an extreme demand, absolutely. But the text argues that this sensory deprivation is the only way to shift from empirical learning to spiritual communication.
Okay.
If you want to understand the true fabric of the universe, your eyes and ears are simply too limited. They only pick up a tiny, narrow band of reality.
Like trying to view the whole galaxy through a pinhole.
Exactly. To get that universal stream of consciousness, you have to bypass the physical hardware of your body. The goal is to basically surrender the self and melt into the universe.
Wow.
And by doing that, the text claims you synthesize the core truths of all those major world religions into one single string. You stop looking at the different rules and rituals of the religions, and you start seeing the underlying code.
So if we successfully put our brains on airplane mode and bypass our sensory hardware, what exactly is the cosmic download we receive? Because the information the text claims you get is pretty wild.
It is wild. The text casts a very wide net, claiming that various prophetic texts throughout history are actually direct revelations from higher spaces of life.
Yeah, it lists the Bible, the Tao Te Ching, Mayan mythology, Nostradamus, and several others as essentially transmissions from above.
It even drops a very casual mention of predictions of the Martians.
Wait, Martians? Like literal aliens?
Well, to be fair, it quickly clarifies that the celestials of Lifechanyuan are from a different dimension of space and time entirely, not literal green men from the planet Mars.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
But then it drops the real bombshell.
Mm.
It says the true record of human history and our ultimate future isn't even in those prophetic books.
Where is it?
It's hidden under the pyramids and inside the moon.
Which immediately triggers all of our modern conspiracy theory alarm. I mean, hidden moon bases and pyramid archives.
Oh, for sure. But here is the brilliant paradox of the text. Right after dangling these massive cinematic secrets, it immediately tells the reader to completely ignore them.
Really?
Yeah. It explicitly says you'd be better off paying no attention to this and not believing far-fetched explanations that people make for their own purposes.
It's like the ultimate cosmic spam filter. It tells you the juiciest secrets of the universe exist, and then tells you that caring about them is a total waste of your time.
Precisely. Because according to the text, 99% of accumulated human knowledge is just rubbish.
Oh.
Only 1% is true wisdom.
That 99% rule is so blunt.
And the author uses a very specific metaphor for this 1% rule. He says this ratio perfectly matches the ratio of the total weight of all precious metals and gemstones on Earth compared to the massive weight of the Earth itself.
The dirt versus the diamonds.
Exactly. The dirt versus the diamonds. The text argues that we shouldn't waste our precious time absorbing human knowledge and patting ourselves on the back for gathering junk.
Right.
Knowing what's under the pyramids is just gathering more dirt. Instead, we should cultivate the jewels in our brains, which are worth more than all earthly jewels combined.
That's a really beautiful way to frame it.
And if we connect this to your own learning journey as a listener, it's a profound critique of the information age.
Oh, totally. We are constantly flooded with information.
Right. How often do we get distracted by the rubbish trivia? We memorize facts, we doom scroll the news, we argue over tiny details on social media, but we rarely step back to cultivate the 1% of true mental jewels.
The overarching wisdom that actually changes how we perceive reality. Okay, that makes sense for trivia and internet arguments. But if 99% of human knowledge is dirt, how does this text deal with the undeniable objective reality of things like gravity or quantum mechanics?
Ah, that's a great question.
Like, what about theoretical physics? You can't just call Albert Einstein rubbish, can it?
That's where the text has a very nuanced and surprising relationship with science. It doesn't reject hard science outright. In fact, it boldly aligns its own teachings with one of the most famous physicists of our time, Stephen Hawking.
Right, I remember this part. The text points out that Lifechanyuan teaches that the total energy of the universe is zero.
Yes.
And it notes that Stephen Hawking recognized this exact same concept in his famous book, A Brief History of Time. The text says this proves that scientists are very close to the greatest creator.
Which is a massive statement.
It is, but we need to unpack that. Why does the total energy of the universe being zero equate to proof of a creator?
It comes down to how the universe could theoretically be created out of nothing without violating the laws of physics. In astrophysics, matter and light are considered positive energy. But gravity is considered negative energy because it pulls things together and requires work to overcome.
Right, that makes sense.
Hawking and others have theorized that if you add up all the positive energy of mass and all the negative energy of gravity, they perfectly cancel each other out to zero.
So the universe is basically a perfectly balanced ledger.
Precisely. The math is flawless. And for the author of this text, that flawless mathematical balance isn't a result of a random chaotic explosion.
A ledger that balances perfectly to zero implies an accountant.
Exactly. The text sees this exact zero-energy state as the literal fingerprint of the greatest creator.
Notice the phrasing the text uses, though. It says scientists are very close.
Very close, yes. Not there yet.
Right. It asserts that scientists can only approach the truth, they can never actually grasp it. It brings up Einstein and his lifelong quest for the unified field theory. It acknowledges that the greatest scientific minds are still actively searching for this one theory to explain everything, but claims they will never ever find it using their current scientific methods.
Because, according to the text, they are missing half the data.
What do you mean?
The text claims scientists only recognize 4 forces in the universe. In standard physics, those are gravity, electromagnetism, and the strong and weak nuclear forces.
Right, the standard model.
But the text argues scientists are completely blind to the other 4 forces.
There are 4 more.
According to this, yes. The structural force, the repulsive force, the conscious force, and the spiritual force.
Here's where it gets really interesting. If science is missing literally half the pieces of the puzzle, especially these conscious and spiritual forces, is the text arguing that science is fundamentally broken? Or just that it's looking at the universe with one eye closed?
It's definitely the latter. The text isn't saying the scientific method is entirely flawed for what it does. It's saying the paradigm is severely incomplete.
Okay, that makes sense.
Think of the 4 known physical forces as the hardware of a computer. You can weigh the computer, you can measure its electrical output, you can take it apart.
Right, you can empirically observe it.
Exactly. But the 4 missing forces, the conscious and spiritual forces, those are the software.
Oh, I see.
You can't find a software glitch by weighing the laptop. The reason scientists are blind to these software forces is because they lack an understanding of what the text calls the negative universe.
The unseen, the immaterial, the spiritual. Science demands observable physical phenomena, but the negative universe, by its very definition, defies physical observation.
Exactly. And for you listening, this is really a masterclass in challenging rigid paradigms.
It really is.
The text seamlessly synthesizes quantum physics with deep mysticism. It validates the rigorous hardware analysis of a Hawking or an Einstein, but contextualizes it.
It puts it in a bigger box.
Right. True understanding, it argues, requires acknowledging the unseen software, just as much as the observable hardware. If you only measure what you can see, you will only ever understand half of reality.
So if our greatest scientific minds are distracted by the physical hardware of the universe, what is distracting the rest of us on a daily basis?
Oh, the text has a lot to say about that.
It transitions from cosmic physics right down to the messy, loud world of human public opinion.
It calls this the illusion of phenomena, and it urges readers to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to their surroundings.
Because getting caught up in worldly phenomena just eats up your time, your energy, and your intelligence.
Yep.
Now, the author uses a pretty heated real-world example here to make his point. He talks about the historical conflict between the Falun Gong movement, led by Li Hongzhi, and the Chinese government under Jiang Zemin.
Which is a very sensitive topic.
Highly sensitive. And just as a quick reminder for you listening, we're acting purely as museum curators here. We aren't taking sides on this political powder keg. We're just reporting on how the author uses it to make a philosophical point.
Right. Strictly impartial. So the text states the conflict plainly. The Chinese government claimed that Falun Gong was a cult, while Falun Gong claimed that Jiang Zemin was evil.
Okay.
The text then asks a really provocative question. Who was really evil?
Does it answer it?
It intentionally refuses to answer with a political side. It uses this entire conflict to argue that neither side's public assertions matter.
Wow. Neither side.
Exactly. It claims that if you get caught up in the public opinions, the press releases, and the shouting, you completely lose your direction.
It's like trying to understand a complex chess game by only listening to 2 people screaming at each other from the bleachers.
That is a highly effective analogy.
You can't learn the rules of the game by listening to the noise of the angry crowd. You have to tune out the yelling, ignore the bleachers entirely, and look quietly at the actual board yourself to see the underlying mechanics of how the pieces move.
Yes. The text argues that worldly phenomena are actively designed to mislead you. When we focus on phenomena, we get bogged down in the what? The endless, exhausting details of earthly dramas.
Right. Who said what? Who did what? Who's to blame?
But radical detachment requires us to only ask why they appear and what they mean on a cosmic spiritual scale.
Why is there such a massive rush to detach from all this earthly drama, though? I mean, why do we need to figure out the software of the negative universe right now?
Because of what's coming.
Because, according to the text, there are literal cosmic laws at play behind all this noise, and time is running out.
Yes, there is a serious urgency.
Which brings us to the ultimate stakes of the text: karma, catastrophe, and the escape plan.
The text states very firmly that karma and transmigration are not matters of belief.
They aren't just metaphors for being a good person.
No, not at all. They are literal mechanical laws of life. Transmigration, in this context, is the cycle of reincarnation.
Okay.
The text views being born over and over into this mortal realm as a trap. It calls it a sea of suffering. And it uses a very stark proverb to explain karma. Divine punishments, though slow, are always sure.
With big meshes, yet letting nothing slip through. It claims that if you misbehaved in a past life and weren't punished then, you are actively paying for it in this life.
Exactly. The ledger always balances.
But the goal of entering Lifechanyuan isn't just to get slightly better karma so you can have a richer life the next time around, is it?
No, the ultimate goal is to break the cycle completely, to stop reincarnating into this mortal world once and for all.
Yes, the objective is upward mobility on a cosmic scale. The text says you must develop toward higher life spaces.
It names 3 tiers specifically, doesn't it?
It does. The 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world.
And what exactly are these worlds? Are they physical planets or states of mind?
In this cosmology, they represent progressive levels of spiritual existence and literal locations in the higher dimensions.
Okay, so actual places in a higher space.
Exactly. The 1,000-year world might be seen as a realm of extended peace and longevity. The 10,000-year world is an even deeper spiritual existence, further detached from physical suffering.
And the Elysium world.
The Elysium world is the ultimate paradise. It's a state of total, eternal merger with the Tao of the universe, where you never have to return to the mortal realm.
But there's a ticking clock attached to this upward mobility. The text warns that you must elevate your thinking and enter a high-level space in advance before a coming catastrophe arrives.
Does it say what the catastrophe is?
It doesn't detail exactly what it is, whether it's environmental, spiritual, or cosmic,
Yeah.
but the urgency is palpable.
And this urgency completely explains who the author believes his true audience is. He specifically addresses the sages and celestials reading the text.
Right.
He claims that they are actually beings from those high-level spaces who have awakened with great wisdom.
They are essentially cosmic sleeper agents.
Yes.
They came to Earth, forgot who they were, and this text is basically their wake-up call.
Exactly. The text tells them that their specific mission is to use their spirituality and wisdom as a boat to ferry humanity from the sea of suffering to the shores of heaven.
So what does this all mean for the listener?
Yeah. How does this apply to you, listening right now?
It means this text isn't just a collection of philosophical musings or abstract theology. It is framed as an actionable, urgent escape plan.
A rescue mission.
Yes. It elevates your quest for knowledge from mere intellectual self-improvement into a literal rescue mission for your soul. The stakes couldn't possibly be higher.
You aren't just learning to be smart in this world.
No, you are learning how to escape a sinking ship and trying to pull as many people onto the lifeboat with you as possible.
Wow. We have covered a massive amount of conceptual ground today.
We really have.
We started with the idea of putting your brain on airplane mode to tune out your 5 senses and catch a universal signal.
Right.
We explored the claim that 99% of our knowledge is just dirt, while the true hidden history under the pyramids and the moon is a distraction.
We examined how the text validates the flawless mathematics of Stephen Hawking's zero-energy universe, but argues that science is blind to the software of the negative universe.
We looked at the radical detachment required to ignore political noise and worldly phenomena. Ignoring the screaming bleachers to look at the chessboard.
Yep.
And finally, we arrived at the ultimate goal: escaping the cycle of transmigration and karma before a cosmic catastrophe, acting as a lifeboat for humanity to reach the Elysium world.
It's quite the journey.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it helped you cut through some of the noise today.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final lingering question to mull over on your own.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a profound paradox hidden right at the heart of this text. The author strongly commands you to be totally indifferent to the world, to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to worldly phenomena and to detach completely from the noise of humanity.
Right, total detachment.
Yet, the ultimate call to action, the final mission of those cosmic sleeper agents, is to act as a boat to ferry all of humanity out of the sea of suffering.
Hmm,
So how can you actively save a world that you are required to completely ignore?
that is a wild paradox to think
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Keep diving deep, keep questioning your own 99%, and we'll see you next time.